but not today. So let me put the names in a cup. Be right back. Go grab your drinks so we can do a little cheers virtually and name who the winner of the giveaway is. If you haven't, make sure you signed up. You go to asherferguson.com and shewillspeak.com. On asherferguson.com, the pop-up box comes up and it says, do you want to join our 20 days of giving challenge? You submit your info on there and you'll be put into the sequence. And then you go into shewillspeak.com and you subscribe to her newsletter and you will get her stuff. I'm the odd numbers, she's the even numbers. The only thing though, if you sign up a little later, obviously you're gonna miss the giveaway. But I'll see how I feel. Maybe I can do a second one or something if somebody joins in later. See how generous I feel. Guys, y'all getting ready? Mm-hmm.
We just
time.
yeah, but to say, because once you give out entertainment like that, they be like, oh, party.
Right. So really quick, because I was just about to draw the names.
Dun 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 dun.
The recap of what you were supposed to do for the giveaway, which was day 3 email. It's that you were supposed to respond telling me a fun fact about yourself. Then you're supposed to take a selfie, tag She Will Speak and I, so we can attach a face and get to know you guys better. And then you were supposed to ask a friend to join the 20 days of giving challenge with you. And you would have been entered into the drawing. So like I said before, a couple people did it, but I don't think you all followed all the directions. So I threw some names in here, but it was really one person who followed all the directions, and I'm hoping she wins.
Astrid said I gave directions. Y'all hoes. She said y'all just said, nah, give us a book.
Right. You guys. And I made it simple. But anyway, so drum roll, please.
That was my drum roll.
6. Because I threw it in here. Hold on.
What happened?
Ivanka, I can joke with them. I don't
Go ahead.
Do that. But anyway, we'll tag her on here. And that is the winner. Girl, see,
I didn't click the people.
She tagged the person girl, just go back to the post.
I don't want to. Hold on. I'm gonna jump back on. Hold on.
Okay.
So Asher, why don't you tell the good folks who either don't know or who didn't win your book what the Serpent's Rattle is about? What sparked it? It's a 1-year anniversary, or even if it's just simply like, how do you feel that like it's a year? Like, that's crazy. I remember when you were talking about the cover.
I know, right?
I remember when you were talking about the cover. Like, I remember when you were like, I'm still deciding on a cover I want. I wanted to be like something striking though, and you were talking. I remember you talking about the concept. Mm-hmm. I think you sent me like a few pages of it, like, and now it's a year. Like that's.
Yeah. So the Serpent's Rattle, I wrote that one because if you ever read my first book, Malt is kind of like a preview of the Serpent's Rattle, the first chapter of it, because Malt is supposed to be malting through negative layers of womanhood to allow room for new growth. And most I wrote while I was going through postpartum. It was very tough for me. I never put my poetry out there. Nobody even knew I wrote poetry. I mean, I just, I would write in my journals and they would sit in a drawer, and it was kind of like, you know, it just lived.
They'd be there basically.
Right. So then when I was going through postpartum depression, I didn't fit the description of postpartum, if that makes sense, because my issue wasn't like being a mom, like with my son. The issue was with me. And so I want to say it was like a combination of postpartum and post-traumatic stress disorder, because I had a very hard delivery. So I was like afraid of going outside because I thought something else was going to happen, because I was in and out of the hospital for 2 weeks. I had to get a blood transfusion. I had
so the aspect of like kind of sparking something else.
Right. Yeah, I had a really bad infection that spread to my kidneys, that spread to my bloodstream. I had to get induced because of preeclampsia. So it was a lot that went on. And I don't think I ever got my bearings right. So I would write. And that's kind of like how I got rid of the demons, so to speak, because I even tried working out and that wasn't doing it all. So I wrote it, and then the first chapter in Malt kind of briefly speaks about the serpent's rattle. And people started asking more and more questions, and was like, I feel like this could be a whole book by itself.
Like this one part that you touched on.
Right. So I was like, do I really want to write that story? Because that's a very difficult time for me. And I think at the time, like when I was speaking to you, you know, we were friends. Everybody in that group. It's like we were like, you know, you gotta, you know, you can only be brave when you're vulnerable.
Right.
So if you want to heal from the past, you have to let it go. So as I was writing it, like I was pouring like tears. Like it was a lot of things that I think I suppressed and I tried not to deal with, because the serpent's rattle has to deal with like immigration barriers. So even though I call it a poetry memoir, it's actually a story of the women in my family. But to protect their identity, I just took ownership of it all.
Everything, yep.
Right. So it's about immigration barriers, where when you first come into this country and you're an immigrant, especially if you're a mother, not knowing the language hinders you from getting, you know, the jobs that you need to feed your child and feed yourself. So my mom went hungry a lot of days. My mom didn't get paid the money she was supposed to be getting paid, because she couldn't, you know, who she's gonna say, where she's
complain to, like talk to.
Which is what happens to a lot of immigrant mothers who come here to the United States. So then at that time, she also went through a divorce with my father. My father is 33 years older than my mom. May he rest in peace, because he passed away. So that caused even more hardships. And then she met my stepfather, who is the main serpent in the story. And then we go into how that develops into abuse. Serpents tend to crawl in your life when you're going through difficult times, when you don't even know how to stand on your own, and they take advantage of your vulnerability. They take advantage of my mom was calling. They take advantage
Okay,
of.
I was like, I think you zoomed out a little bit.
Well, where was I? Oh, they take advantage
Advantage.
of how fragile you are, and they lurk into your life that way. And then they make you feel bad about how fragile you are, so now you become a victim in your own circumstance. So I take you through that of how it's kind of like, think of it like a rattlesnake, the way they constrict their prey. So the first thing is they tighten up their grip, right, until you lose motion. Then it's, when they bite, they cling tight with their fangs and the venom seeps in.
Sips in, yep.
So that's how I wrote it. So I take you to how from domestic violence, it builds to child abuse and it builds to rape. And how a serpent can become anybody. It can be a friend. It can be a loved one. It can be a boss you used to work for that makes you feel, less than. It can be anything. But the real serpent that keeps on crawling and restricting your air passageways is this one serpent that you have to keep going home to. So that's kind of like how I wrote it. And then the end, it's supposed to be when you get loose from the serpent. But we all know everything leaves residual effects. So that's kind of like how I leave it in the end, where I'm saying, if you've been through this is your time to come to try and heal and let these stars breathe. And I kind of leave you in
your own
light
space.
note. Right.
Yeah, on the light note. And I like that you did that, and I feel that's so important because, like, when we have these conversations, and I always tell people, like, especially, and Astrid knows, and I feel like a few of you, if you follow me, like, my own experience when it comes to domestic violence and sexual assault, it's like, I feel like people tell you how to prevent it. They tell you, like, if it happens, like, in that moment, if it happens, you call this person, you go to the hospital, you do all these different things. But nobody tells you, like you said, how do you recover? Like,
right.
What does healing, like, nobody, and I remember I was in college at the Women's Center at my school, and I just was like, nobody ever tells you, like, okay, you were assaulted, you were beaten, you were manipulated, you were all these things, they'll tell you, call the cops, call this one, but, like, when I go back to my house, like, what happens then?
Right.
What is